YouTube has strict community guidelines over what we can and cannot say about COVID-19 vaccines and treatments. If YouTube deems we've somehow violated these guidelines, we risk YouTube cutting off our ability to communicate to you. With that said, the discussions which follow are not meant to provide medical advice. Please seek the advice of local health officials for any COVID-19 and/or COVID vaccine-related questions and concerns. Are you someone concerned with vaccine mandates violating your personal liberty? Well, Joe Biden is here to tell you what's the big deal. Come on, guy. Also, news from the border continues to get worse under the Biden administration. We have the latest, and it all starts right now. Hey, welcome to the news and why it matters. I am Sarah Gonzalez. Happy hump day. We are halfway through the week, also halfway to the end of the week, which marks the last show of the year. Yes, we actually take vacation every once in a while at this studio, but we are glad to be joined by Sheriff Bill Wayburn of Tarrant County. Thank you so much for being here. We always love it. I know the viewers are always like, we just love the sheriff. Oh. He's so great, and he wears the hat way better than Chad Prather. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding, Chad, all right? Don't come at me.
She isn't, Chad. She told me that off screen, too. I'm just teasing.
Also joined by, wow. Shots fired over here already from Sheriff Wayburn. Also joined by, pun intended, by the way, also joined by Jaco Booyens, BlazeTV contributor and host of the Jaco Booyens Show. Glad to see you guys. Happy that you're here. So let's get into... It just feels like the news continues to get worse for Joe Biden. And instead of, I don't know, looking at his poll numbers and saying, you know what can we do? How can we course correct? What can we change so that we can start resonating with the American people? He's like, nah. I don't think I'm going to do that. So Joe Biden yesterday downplayed concerns that many Americans actually have about his vaccine mandates going too far, obviously encroaching on their individual freedoms. He was asked about all of the setbacks that his mandate had in court recently. I know earlier in the week we talked about the Supreme Court ruling on the New York mandate. Now, that was a ruling that was not in favor of personal liberty. However, that was only New York State. That was not the Biden mandate that we are seeing just have a blow after blow after blow after blow in every court that it actually, comes up into. So Joe Biden was asked about that, and he's just like, come on, what's the big deal? Watch.
And so everybody talks about freedom and not to have a shot or have a test. Well, guess what? And so how about patriotism? How about making sure that you're vaccinated so you do not spread the disease to anybody else? What about that? What's the big deal?
What's the big deal? What's the big deal? You're being conditioned to view your freedoms and personal liberties as selfish. I have been saying that for a very long time now within all of this COVID ridiculousness. I will continue to shout it from the rooftops. This is just one of those instances of your leaders conditioning you to think it is patriotic to go get something injected into your body, and it shouldn't come down to individual choice. It should be what can you do for your community? Not to mention, he says you need to get it. You need to get the shot so that, where did he say? Let's see. So that you do not spread the disease to anyone else, which, as we know from the CDC director, that is actually patently false. That is not true. You can still spread it to people once you have been vaccinated. Again, that's not junk. That's not junk science if you believe the science, right? That is coming from the CDC's own director on this vaccine. Sheriff, what are your thoughts on all of this? What do you mean, what's the big deal about violating my personal liberty? Isn't that the point of America?
That is absolutely the point of America, is that your personal property, the Founding Fathers talked so much about this country being so great because of personal property. And they talked about, one, that your personal property is your conscience and your body. And for a sitting president to mandate, we're going to force you to be injected, is absolutely against everything our Founding Fathers had to say. And it might as well be the slow pot boiling of, Sarah, I need you to be quiet. Your First Amendment's restricted, and I need your guns.
Yeah.
I mean, where does it go from here? And so I think that he is way overstepping his bounds, and it causes the rest of it to be out of sync. Where's Congress? Where's the courts?
Yes.
And we're winning in the courts, regardless of what happened.
Right.
I believe the Supreme Court will hear this, and I believe they'll say, too much, Mr. President.
Yeah, I sure hope so, Jaco.
Yeah, it's such a good point. And you made a statement. It is the preconditioning, and that's what it's all about. You know, I lived in Canada for a period of time. And this reminds me of Canada. For the Canadians, your administration, not the individuals. I love the Canadians, but the administration is an administration where it's frowned upon to be an individual. It's frowned upon celebrating individual victories, right? Even to the point where there's no MVP of a match. You can't do that because it's frowned upon, because it's all about equality. And they got there through this type of a mechanism by saying, what's the big deal? It's patriotic to surrender your liberties. Right? It's not. It's not. And that's what he's saying. What about patriotism? Oh, so forget about my religious beliefs or where I am or actually wanting to do my own research in real science. I surrender all that because you, Mr. President, have betrothed yourself to Big Pharma. So patriotism today in America is synonymous with running with Big Pharma. Right?
I guess
that's
so.
not patriotic.
In Joe Biden's
Being
America.
patriotic is let's follow the Constitution of the United States. Let's follow the Word of God. That's patriotism. Let's be true to America. The individual matters, right? Let's celebrate the individual. That's patriotism, right? So,
I believe they said something about unalienable rights.
yes.
Yeah, I think so. Well, here's the thing. The Democrats would actually have to read things like the Constitution and the Bill of Rights to actually know what is in it. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe that's what's not clicking here, is they haven't actually read any of these documents that founded our country. It is interesting, too, because, you know, they talk about patriotism when they're trying to condition you to think that it is your duty to take this vaccine. Not so long ago, they were the ones who were, you know, basically promoting vaccine hesitancy when it was developed under President Trump. I seem to recall both Joe Biden and Kamala Harris making very, very clear statements that you should have reason to question any vaccine that would be developed under President Trump, which I always thought was bizarre because, you know, it's as if President Trump had a lab coat on and he was actually in the science lab with like the big goggles on, you know, measuring things out so that he was actually developing the vaccine. Just like bizarre statements. But interestingly enough, pre-January 2021, it was not patriotic to get the vaccine, and in fact, you probably shouldn't. And then as of January 2021, you definitely should get the vaccine. It is, in fact, your duty to your country. It's weird how those things work.
Absolutely weird.
Yeah. So we're talking about Joe Biden. This is how bad it's going for him. And I got to tell you guys, I'm hopeful. Not all the left, okay? There are radicalists that they're just too far gone. But I'm hopeful that a good chunk of the left is seeing how badly this is going for the Biden administration and hopefully going to do what they need to do to get this country back on track in the following elections. But New York Times columnist Bret Stephens yesterday implored President Biden to not seek re-election in 2024 and announce his intentions as soon as possible so potential Democratic contenders could begin making preparations to replace him. This was called "Biden Should Not Run Again, and He Should Say He Won't." Now, Stephens is a conservative, but he writes for the New York Times, so read from that what you will. He's a very, very strong critic of Donald Trump. And he said that Biden's age, his uneven cognitive state needed to be candidly discussed. It was not healthy for him, his office, the Democratic Party, or the country to remain in limbo about what to do if he decides not to run or if he can't actually run. But I don't know what Bret Stephens is talking about. I think Joe Biden is doing great. In fact, he was just spotted at I believe it was a lunch. They were having a lunch. The Democrats were on. They were talking about the 2022 midterms, and in comes Joe Biden to give a speech, and it was just completely incoherent. It's like, yeah, you better watch out for us, Republicans. You're gonna in for a problem here. Watch.
Now we look at 2022. I want to tell my Republican friends, get ready, pal. You're going in for a problem. And we need to stay unified.
Wait a second. We need to stay unified. Didn't you just threaten the Republicans? And now we need to stay unified. But I have some questions, guys. I don't know who Bal is. but he seems to want Val to get ready. I don't know what "you're going to in for a problem" means. I don't know what these things mean, but I can't possibly see why Bret Stephens would think that there's a problem with Joe Biden's cognitive abilities, guys.
Well, I will say that Joe Biden has been consistently inconsistent for over 40 years. And as a partisan, for our benefit, that I think that would be best for the country is, of course, for a good conservative to take over. So I guess I have 3 words to say. Run, Joe, run.
Yeah, no kidding.
I like that.
No kidding.
And when it comes from a sheriff, he probably should run. But no, Sarah, I think that this is what they're going to do. They're going to do what they normally do. This is when you're going to see the theatrics in Hollywood come out, right? Where they're going to posture and position and deny the inevitable and just say it enough and hope people believe that it's so, as we have in the past. But I think that ship has sailed for America, because I'm seeing a lot of liberals go, this guy's not, he's not going to make it. You ask a question frequently, who's in the wings?
Yes.
That's what you always do. And I ponder that a lot, because, you and I, and so they don't have anybody in the wings unless they revive skeletons from the past, unless we see some characters come back, aka Hillary Clinton and some of these characters.
There's speculation that she might.
Because who? They can't. Are they gonna? Beto O'Rourke, Newsom. Who is it? Who can really step in? There's such a distrust. So I'm loving what's happening, because sometimes when you pass the point of no return, then just let it dismantle. And at the moment, they are dismantling. There's no relationship between him and the vice president.
Right.
There's none. I mean, there's so much going on.
Did you see that clip?
When he walked by her, wouldn't acknowledge her, asked Jill to switch seats with him.
That was so awkward. Did you see this?
No,
So this was it at Bob Dole's funeral?
Yeah, the president wouldn't sit next to the vice president.
But he walked in the row.
Did not acknowledge her.
He walked in the row, did not acknowledge her. They were all wearing masks, of course, but he did not even look at her, didn't acknowledge her. And it just so ended up that he was standing. He was supposed to sit right next to her. And he whispered something to Jill, and she very awkwardly
switched places with him.
Yeah, it was really, really bizarre.
Yeah, so there's a lot of turmoil internal. And I think in the whole party. I don't think it's just in the White House. I want to flip the script. Run, Joe, run. We're going to see something epic in 2022. There's going to be a massive swing, I think, on local government levels. I'm talking about county commissioners, school boards, mayors, governors. We're going to see something that we haven't seen. So hopefully some of the ones on the left that voted for this president, I think, had a rude awakening. And it's not just the president; it's the party. Yeah, it's a mantra. And it just doesn't work.
Well, they're going to have to answer for all of their COVID policies, at least.
Well, and
bare minimum.
Proof in the pudding is that we have Democrats in Texas. We have Democrats in Texas, including Democratic sheriffs, coming across and already endorsing Greg Abbott, already getting on board with that.
Because they're feeling the pain.
Yep.
Absolutely,
they feel the pain. It's personal.
And it has been mind-blowing from our foreign policy and horrible stuff that happened in Afghanistan to what's happening on the border, and then demanding that you get vaccinated, and just the incoherence of everything.
I think you make an interesting point, Sheriff, because I think previously, you're talking about these Democratic sheriffs who I would imagine they're probably upset about the border when they're in Texas, right? So, but they're seeing it firsthand. And I don't think, sometimes it doesn't click with these people until it actually comes to their front door, until you're a Democrat who voted for Joe Biden and you're realizing that your grocery bill is 30% higher every time you go to the grocery store. You're realizing that you go to the gas pump and you're like, I can't afford to fill up my tank anymore. So I'm feeling like these people think that these policies sound really good in their heads, and it isn't until it actually affects them personally and they have to feel the pain a little bit that they step back and go, hold on a second, maybe this wasn't such a great idea after all.
That's what I mean with they're feeling it, and the American people are feeling it. Because at the end of the day, you can vote any way you want.
Right.
Your finance is a resource that's going to run out at some point, and it starts touching your personal family, and then things change.
Yep. Trump may have tweeted mean things.
Yeah, but things change.
But your money went a lot farther when he was in office.
When your 12-year-old son, I was raised by a single mom. When your 12-year-old son all of a sudden can't play extracurriculars anymore, or can't stay on the soccer team, or can't travel, and you voted and you start feeling it, you're going to think.
Yeah.
And I think that's happening across this nation. That is happening.
I hope so.
Yeah.
All right, we've got more to come. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Home Title Lock. So, you have homeowners insurance for obviously a good reason. If you could have a fire, a flood, burglary, it could just completely destroy you financially because, as we know, your home is your retirement nest egg, I would hope, right? You're building this equity in your home. But there's another major crime your homeowner's policy does not cover. It's actually called home title fraud, and it is one of the fastest growing crimes according to the FBI. It can ruin you financially, which is why you need Home Title Lock. All right, title fraud actually happens when a criminal forges your signature on documents stating that you sold your home to the criminal, and then they can take out whatever loans they want to against your home. They leave you with the payments, of course, because they're not going to pay it. They're the criminal. You can spend a fortune in legal fees trying to prove that you didn't commit fraud, or you can just go to HometitleLock.com. They're going to put a barrier around your home's title, and the instant that they detect anyone tampering with it, they are going to shut it down. All right, register your address to see if you are already a victim over at HometitleLock.com. You can enter code RADIO for 30 free days of protection. That is code RADIO. I'm telling you guys, you are not going to know it unless you go to Home Title Lock and register your address. It is only at HometitleLock.com. That is HometitleLock.com.
Riley, you're doing a
Last Last week, I think it was, on the program, I played this gorgeous little ditty, this little song that Android actually sings for you if you ask whoever the Android assistant is on the phone. If you ask it to sing you a song, it's saying this cute little song about how we all love vaccines and, the scientists are like superheroes and all of the, it's just that they call us a cult. I swear.
I'm not an Android person. Are you serious?
Yes, and we had someone in the studio try it to make sure that it actually did do it,
Wow.
and that is what happened. So I'm just saying, they call us a cult. That's kind of a cult, you guys. But it wasn't just Android. Outgoing National Institutes of Health Director Francis Collins. This is really, I'm just embarrassed for these people at this point. He performed a song based on Somewhere Over the Rainbow and called it Somewhere Past the Pandemic. And he was singing this at this HHS town hall conference. And it's so cringy. I'm embarrassed for these people. Watch.
Somewhere past the pandemic, when we're free.
When we're free.
I
thought we already were.
A life I remember, full of activity.
Wow, that's depressing.
Somewhere
We have activity.
past the
We're busy.
pandemic, masks will come off.
Oh, your masks have come off all right.
No more need for a nose swab every time we cough. As we are gathered here today,
Like, this is
COVID's toll has hit
a serious
and
thing. This
sent
is not
us
a joke. He's not joking.
reeling.
No, this is not a parody. No.
But
Look how
partners
serious
like
the interpreter
ones
is taking
right
it.
Here will help to make the pathway clear to find a true
This is so embarrassing. I'm so embarrassed.
healing.
Oh gosh, make it stop. I'm so embarrassed for these people. They don't even see. They are the cult. This is the cult, you guys. By the way, they in the control room, they just pulled, you thought I was joking, they just pulled the Android song. Okay, so they pulled it. Let's give a refresher for everyone and let's let these gentlemen listen to it.
So I came across this post today that said, if you have an Android, hold down your home button and ask your phone to sing a song. So I have an Android and I did it. Sing a song.
Let's celebrate that we have the vaccine to help us bring a change to this old routine. It can help us build our immunities while taking care of our communities. Vaccines are safe and an important step towards opening up and shaking hands again.
We better fight.
Somewhere we can visit protecting ourselves.
That's indoctrination. That's force, fraud, coercion, right there. That's coercion. That's 100%.
Like superheroes in masks and gloves.
All right, that's enough. You guys are gonna see me vomit on screen if we play anymore. It's just interesting though, because you listen to Dr. Collins, right? We just talked about Joe Biden and his administration acting like we don't have rights in this country. And here you have him saying, oh, remember when we were free? We can be free again. I'm like, sweetheart, we never stopped being free in Texas.
That's right.
At least, because I realized there were places that were shut down, but a lot of us were just doing our own thing anyway.
That's right. We were free in Texas, and we stayed free in Texas. And now that he's out of office for Joe Biden's reelection campaign, he should open every act with that song when he speaks. So
don't you get depressed for these people? Because you listen to he's like, oh my gosh, we're finally going to have activities again sometime. And it's like, you guys really have been staying home and not doing anything for almost 2 years?
It's like that mom that kept her 9-year-old. Remember, we had it on the show. Her 9-year-old couldn't leave the house, and she's so happy. But I watched this, and I want to just go to on a serious note real quick, because I'm diving deeper. There's a subliminal spiritual battle that's going on in this country that's insane. And Scripture tells us two things. You can be deceived by people, or you can be under the spirit of deception. Different.
Yeah.
A person can deceive a person. That's not hard to do. But when you willingly submit yourself to the spirit of deception, like the spirit of fear, you're coming into agreement with a demonic spirit. And your eyes are shut to the point where you'll stand and sing a song like that. That is the spirit of deception that is really a cloak that's fallen this nation on so many people, but they don't see. They can't see the truth if it's in front of their faces. Like you had someone tell you, I know what I believe, based on whether there was black people killed with Kyle Rittenhouse. I'm like, there were no black people killed.
Said,
he goes,
no, you gotta
well, that's
look it
not
up.
what I believe.
Yeah.
That's the spirit of deception.
It's just like,
that's demonic.
What? But what you believe is wrong. That just doesn't make... Well, I mean, what you're saying makes sense, because what they're saying does not make sense at all.
Absolutely. In that same book, it talks about we are not given a spirit of fear, and this spirit of fear that people are living in, that they put themselves in that horrible box, that they don't get to pursue happiness, they don't get to go to the full standard of life that they could have. And it's heartbreaking to see people that are shutting down and doing that. But I believe it is a demonic battle that we're doing, and that we have just fallen so far away from what our founding fathers intended.
So how do we fix that? How do we get back on course?
Well, one, we honestly, truly pray for this nation, repent, and we need to take accountability. Each American, conservative, liberal, am I part of buying into the spirit of fear? Do I spread the spirit of fear? Do I hold people, practically under my thumb if they don't subject themselves to the spirit of fear by name calling and all these kind of things? Because that's got to stop. You have to at some point pause and go, there's no logic. It doesn't line up with the word. We have people saying, I'm Christian, and then they submit themselves to the spirit of fear. And I go, read again.
Read again.
Go read again, please. And there's so many denominational conversations that's going on around Christianity today. And I go, forget about denominations, okay, in religion. We got to get what's called exegetical scripture. Just what does the Bible say black and white? The absolute truth. And you cannot come into agreement with fear. You will fall. You will fail. And this whole thing is fear-driven. Everything. It's like, what is he singing? Once again, we'll be free. So he's saying, unless you take the vaccine, there's just no freedom for you. I'm not vaccinated. I'm free. My kids played outside. We went places in the middle of COVID. I sat in this seat with this woman. We came to work every single day. I had COVID. We worked through it with my own body's ability to heal itself. Some people need to get the vaccine. I'll drive you to get the vaccine if you want to. But you cannot tell me I'm not free unless I subscribe to your personal decisions.
It just feels a lot like that's kind of counterintuitive to the word freedom.
Yes.
If someone has to tell you when you are and when you're not. It's strange, but I don't think liberals understand that, because they're just so used to big government telling them what to do, how to feel, so I guess maybe that just doesn't resonate with them.
I want people to have the freedom to go get their vaccination or not get their vaccination is where I'm at. I want them to have that freedom. I did say at one time, I am pro-choice. but I don't like using that term.
Yeah.
Because they are not pro-choice.
Right.
They want you to have it, and that's ironic to me that they want to mess with your body here, but oh, by the way, we'll kill your baby.
Yeah.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, you are pro-choice when it actually is your own body and your
Correct.
choice. They are pro-choice when it is actually someone else
On behalf
that
of,
you would be
a
killing.
mistake you made.
Right. Yeah.
I always say this. There's so many
bizarre.
different ways not to get pregnant.
There's one that I can think of that has like 100%.
100% certain you will not get pregnant.
That's right.
Yeah.
So when you are, now all of a sudden it's, hey, can I erase my mistakes? And that's the mantra for this whole administration.
Right.
We're going to make policies. Oh, inflation is just your attitude. Mm-hmm. Erase your feeling about inflation. Excuse me. Right. We made a mistake. There's inflation. Erase it. It's your attitude, Sarah.
Yeah.
It's like, what reality do you live in?
Right.
Like, no, it's deception.
Yeah. Amen. All right, so let's go ahead and take a break, and then we can get into a couple things. Number one, what's going on at the border. Number two, we brought up the pro-life, pro-choice argument. Let's get into that topic as well after the break. First, we want to thank our sponsor, iTarget Pro. So, look, iTarget Pro is the coolest system for anyone in your life. Maybe it's you, for you, whoever it is in your life that loves firearms, loves their Second Amendment, and loves to practice, because, I mean, look, if you're going to have firearms, you need to practice with them to make sure that you stay sharp and accurate. iTarget Pro allows you to dry fire practice with your firearm in the comfort, safety, and privacy of your own home. And as an added bonus, you're not shooting any holes through your couch or your wall or your TV, which is really awesome, and your spouse is going to be really happy about that. Here's the deal, guys. iTarget Pro is going to pay for itself in one time of use. It's just in the amount that you're going to save in the cost of ammunition and the range fees. One time of usage, because as we know, the cost of ammo has gone sky high, and range fees are not cheap as well. So all you do is you download iTarget's app, you load the laser bullet into your firearm, and they've got them for all different types of calibers, and you start your training experience. It's going to help you develop muscle memory, sharpen target reaction speed, sight alignment, trigger function, so much more. Look, I don't mean to brag, but we have a sheriff on our show right now, and I think that he would agree that you need to stay sharp and accurate with all of your firearms.
That's right.
And dry fire training is a great way to do that.
Great way to do it.
Thank you, Sheriff. I'm just saying. He's way more credible than me, and he said it, okay? You got to go to itargetpro.com right now. Save 10%. Get free shipping with the offer code NEWS. Look, the deadline for guaranteed arrival to have your order by Christmas has passed, but they are working around the clock to get orders out ASAP. So there's still a chance if you are looking for a last-minute gift. Go to itargetpro.com. Use offer code NEWS. That is itargetpro.com. We have covered greatly here at the News and Why It Matters the out-of-control border crisis going on under the Biden administration. I know these two gentlemen at the table are very, very familiar with what is happening at the border specifically. But I want to share with you guys and get your thoughts on the drug trafficking specifically that is going on at the border. Obviously, these criminals are taking advantage of all of the. I love this picture that we have here. All of the. Look, it's just that there are a lot of holes in the border. I seem to recall a president who wanted to build a wall that would help with that, but he tweeted mean things, so we sent him away. But according to U.S. Customs and Border Protection, officers working at the El Paso area ports of entry intercepted 714 pounds of methamphetamine, 105 pounds of fentanyl, 32 pounds of heroin, and 660 pounds of marijuana. You guys might be thinking, oh, all year? No, that's just since the beginning of December. CBP just released that information yesterday. By the way, according to experts, 1 kilogram of fentanyl, or roughly 2 pounds, is enough to kill just approximately 500,000 people. So that's, for those of you who couldn't remember what I said, 104 pounds. So that's just enough to kill more than 23 million people. Kind of a big deal. And yet the Biden administration is, they do have a border czar. I don't think she's doing much, though.
I don't either. And the drugs are coming over, copious amounts of drugs. In Tarrant County, we're going to set an incredible record this year of drugs. We had 2 seizures of pure methamphetamine of nearly 1,700 pounds. And the fentanyl is plentiful, the heroin is plentiful, and it is taking a toll on our nation.
Yeah, I mean, we have record amounts of drug overdoses
Absolutely.
right now. I mean, this is according to the CDC, who the Democrats say is the end-all, be-all. We have to trust the CDC and the CDC only. Well, the CDC is saying we're having record high numbers of drug overdoses. Don't think it's a coincidence that these are pouring in from our border.
If we can say this about fentanyl, is they're doing those presses and those pill presses, and the kids are thinking it's safe drugs because they think it's mom's Percodan or something like that out of the cabinet. And they're taking them and they're dying. And 50% increase in overdoses on fentanyl alone in Tarrant County. And the ages are 16 to 24.
And I want you to hear what the sheriff is saying. We're talking about Tarrant County, which is deep into Texas, and it's all over the country. So fentanyl flows from China. It came in as a powder. People died because they didn't know how to use the powder. They would just die. So now they're pressing in a lab fashion, manufacturing these pills, and the kids are overdosing. But here's what concerns me a lot, what people don't know. We do not have enough Border Patrol manpower on the border. I was just on the border a week and a half ago. So we're using state troopers who cannot deport, not allowed to. They can't search the individuals that come across the river. They can't interview them. So we're using state troopers, National Guard, Texas Guard, and then of course you have Border Patrol, right?
Yeah.
But the troopers, who are by far most up and down the border, so someone comes across the border, by mandate of this administration, they can't frisk them. They can ask them what's in their possession. I'm talking about me standing with 120 people with backpacks, where they lined the kids' backpacks, teddy bears, open the teddy bear, it's full of fentanyl. They're not allowed to ask him. They're not. So it has to be Border Patrol. So it's a nightmare at the moment. And this administration hasn't mentioned a peep. The CDC will say, look, overdoses through the roof, but they don't say where it's coming from. Yeah. It's not like the fentanyl's being manufactured in Omaha, Nebraska.
Right.
It's coming across the southern border.
Yeah.
That's just a fact. And if you talk, one of the sheriff's really good friends, and someone I really love and respect, and a friend of mine also, is Sheriff Lamb. You talk about, go talk to Arizona, who is particularly hit crazy with fentanyl, particularly with fentanyl. They've had an insane increase from 2020 to 2021 across the Arizona border. Okay, this is a real issue, and it's going to reach every city of America. This is not just Texas. It's going to be all over.
That's right.
I worry that, I mean, even if, let's say that we shut down the border right now, it feels like this is just going to be, this is going to be going.
It's in the system.
It's going to be happening for a long time with this level of...
23 million people can die from this.
Right.
Well, and the fentanyl, as we're going back to last year at this time, our narcotics agents were buying that for $30 a pill. Well, today it's $6 a pill. And it's so plentiful and it's so cheap. And the Chinese have worked out the deal with the cartel, and here we are.
Yeah. All right, I want to switch gears here and go to, I mentioned you guys were talking about the pro-life, pro-choice argument earlier. Let's go to I say let's go to The View, and everyone's like, oh my God, why are you doing this to us, Sarah? It's interesting. Whoopi Goldberg went on The View just the other day, I think this was yesterday, and she was talking about all of the Supreme Court case with having to do with abortion. And I don't know, she made an interesting statement. Watch.
I too am pro-life. No one that I know who has had an abortion went willingly or happily. They went because they had to go, because they didn't have a choice. Now, I don't want anyone to have one who doesn't want it. That's the beauty of the law. You don't have to have it. There's no mandate saying you must have an abortion. The mandate, though, says, well, you can't have one if you need it. And it's not even that I'm going to allow you to speak to your doctor. If your life is on the line, I don't care. If you are the child, if you are someone who has had to deal with incest, I don't care. It doesn't matter. If you've been raped, it doesn't matter. See, this is where it gets murky.
So it's interesting. I think someone needs to explain to her what pro-life actually means. Yeah. Because if you are, in fact, pro-life, I don't think that you can then immediately advocate for people being allowed to kill their babies if they want to.
That's right.
It's just really, I don't think they understand these terms at all.
Because I really will tell you, Whoopi really believes what she's saying.
Yeah.
But if you ask her define pro-life, she'll say, well, I'm pro-people alive. Then you ask her, well, Whoopi, when does life start? Mm-hmm. And there it comes. And she's probably going to tell you post-birth in her mind. So pro-life for her means post-birth, not at conception or heartbeat bill in Oklahoma or Texas or whatever it is, right? But she's wrong even in what the bill says. And again, they keep pushing this issue. A mandate is not a law.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. You know, it is interesting, too, because she also said, you know, no one that I know that's had an abortion has gone willingly or happily. That's actually completely contrary to what the abortion crowd tells us. They go stand up there and literally say, we're going to shout our abortion.
Eating
we're
abortion
loud, we're
pills
proud.
in front of the camera.
Yeah. I mean, it's sick, the stuff that they're doing.
Yeah.
So it's like, Whoopi, have you been alive the last 10, 15 years that they have been pushing this issue and radicalizing this issue? Where have you been?
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing that Whoopi needs to look at is Margaret Sanger. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Look at Margaret Sanger. Look at what she planned and what she's done, and to devastate the black community as she has devastated it. And it's coming to fruition just like Margaret Sanger wanted. And far as, you know, she brought up incest, and that's awful. She brought up sexual assault. That is awful. But there are people walking around. I had the honor of meeting a gentleman the other day that's a retired police officer. His mother was sexually assaulted at the age of 20, and he is the product of that. And here he is, this incredible servant to the people, and now he's running for public office.
Wow.
But he's a strong, upstanding, character, valued-centered man. That's the product of that. And going back to my belief, and I know y'all's, is God has a plan for every child. And that child should not have to pay for the sins of their father.
Yeah.
Again, Jeremiah 1:2. God says, I knew you before I crafted you in the womb. So that's it. That child could be our future president, whatever, or just a great father. It's not that you have to.
Yeah.
But here's my question always, and I ask this question of two prominent figures. Jeremiah Wright, eyeball to eyeball, and Jesse Jackson. I asked the same question of both of them. I said, where are the black voices in our country on the Margaret Sangers of the world, on the Planned Parenthoods of the world, where the black community is blatantly targeted on driving the black father out of the home? Where are those voices? Where are the Will Smiths and the LeBron Jameses on those issues of saying, hey, come on, this is a target, the Whoopies? They don't.
Right.
They don't.
Yeah. And it's interesting because the people who actually want more black people to be born are called the racists. It's just really weird how that works. All right, we've got to take a break, but first we want to thank our sponsor, Built Bar. So look, I'm just saying you need to make sure that your pantry is stocked with Built Bar before the holiday is upon you, because you're going to overeat. You're going to eat a lot of cookies, you're going to eat a lot of pies, you're going to eat a lot of cakes, and you're going to regret your decision when you step on the scale on January 1st and your top New Year's resolution is to lose all of the weight that you just gained, that you didn't have to gain if you had Built Bar in your pantry. Okay, I'm just saying, I see into the future, and that is what I see for you unless you get Built Bar. So Built Bar is a protein bar, but it tastes like a candy bar. It's all covered in real chocolate, so you're gonna feel like you're cheating. You're gonna feel like you're getting that special treat at Christmas, but it's good for you. It's low in calories, it's low in sugar, it's low in net carbs and fat, and of course it's high in protein, so it's going to keep you full and satisfied. You gotta go to the website and check out all of the flavors. I'm just telling you, you're gonna have a hard time choosing because they're all delicious, but you can probably get a mixed box and figure out which one you like and stock up on those. You can go to built.com, use promo code news15. You'll get 15% off of your order. That is news15 over at built.com. San Francisco Democrat Mayor London Breed appears to have reversed course on her support for defunding the police. Shockingly enough, this keeps happening in city across city, all over the nation. We cover this on the show all the time. There is a lot of crime going on. It is surging crime over in San Francisco, and I guess they're finding out the hard way that defunding the police is actually not a great idea. Let's listen to Mayor London Breed.
And it's time that the reign of criminals who are destroying our city, it is time for it to come to an end. And it comes to an end when we take the steps to be more aggressive with law enforcement, more aggressive with the changes in our policies. and less tolerant of all the bull that has destroyed our city. We are going to turn this around.
Turns out defunding the police, not a great idea, Sheriff.
Oh, I'm so happy for her to finally understand that. Is that first of all, there is a lot of good police officers on the San Francisco Police Department, and what that mayor needs to let them know is go get the bad guy, get out of their way, support their decisions, go with the broken window theory of somebody steps out of line, take them to jail, and bring back some of those things that would bring them into play. And I promise you, crime will go down if they will do that. The question is, will they do that? And can they get the cops back that have been gone? I think that's going to be the big thing, is that nobody's going to want to go there and police.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, because she's saying that now, but how can you trust that she's not just going to change her mind on a whim whenever, the radicals call for it?
That's
exactly right. It's going to be really
right.
hard for them to trust that.
Well,
Jaco.
trust is earned and so quickly broken, and they broke trust in the officers' minds and the officers' families, that they would have the officers back when the officer actually enforces the law according to how he was trained or she was trained. Many of the things they frown upon is literally police just doing what they were trained to do. Knee in the back, apprehending somebody, getting someone to the ground. These are mechanisms because it's life-threatening. Sheriff sat in that very chair when we talked about 90 seconds, and you spoke of 90 seconds and how quick it happens, right? But here's what I want to say, the irony. Now, throwing an explicit in there because I'm serious, right? It's going to be a battle, I think. San Francisco, Portland, Oregon. It's going to be interesting to get officers to come through the academy again, to get them back in, raise the standards of the academies again, because they lowered the standards of the academies because they needed officers to coerce people to come in. It's going to be interesting, but yeah, we need law enforcement. All I can hear in my head is, maybe if that's the mindset that's going to go through the country, maybe we can get Gunsmoke back. Gunsmoke, and the whole saying of the sheriff's back in town. I'm like, okay, San Francisco, the bat signal is back up.
Yeah.
The sheriff's back in town. It's going to go to Gunsmoke area. They are the good guys. They truly are. There's so few.
But they need to be in mind, it's going to be a battle.
Yes.
It's going to be a battle.
Absolutely.
And use of force is going to come into play. It's going to look ugly even when it's righteous.
Because, Sheriff, as you know, I've got a 2-year-old. I've got young kids, right? She is basically saying we allowed the 3-year-old to run the house for a year, and now we're going to tell the 3-year-old, you can't do that.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, you trained behavior. It's not going to be that easy.
Yeah.
You're going to have to allow law enforcement to actually, force is you're going to have to use force.
It's inevitable.
Yeah. All right. Well, we will be praying for all the police out there who are going to have to make sure that these criminals get a wake-up call. All right, we got to take a break. We'll be back.
I don't think that she'll get them back with that speech.
Hey, for those of you who were not watching yesterday, we shared with you guys that, look, the left really likes to try to cancel us. I mean, we all know that we are not cancelable, but the left is really trying hard, and they are attacking us by way of our podcast reviews. So we need you to go over to wherever you get your audio podcasts, all right? Subscribe, rate, and review The News and Why It Matters. It will help more people be able to find it. It will help us in the algorithm. It will help defeat a leftist. And you may see a review read live on air, like the one today from Interstate 18, who says, great show. I love Sarah. Sarah has a way of making the news less of a headache, which so much of this nonsense is today. Keep up the great work, and I will keep watching. Well, we appreciate that because we find the news to be a huge headache, too. And we just we're here to take on your headache and try to make it a palatable way to consume the news. We've got another one here from Nick Barthy, who said, 5 stars, best show in news. This show is hands down the best thing in news today. It's fun and informative and doesn't leave me feeling depressed, unlike everywhere else. Well, I mean, you just gotta feel sorry for the people who are still watching, like Brian Stelter, and it's cute. I was going to say Chris Cuomo, and then I stopped myself because
no longer there.
I can't watch Chris Cuomo anymore. Look, we're trying. We're trying to help you guys out. So just make sure, tell a friend, share it with your friend, but make sure that you get those reviews in, again, to defeat the leftists who are trying to cancel us. We'll let them know that we're not cancelable. They're kind of slow, so it takes them a minute to get it. All right. Thanks, guys.